Hello everybody and welcome to Gene's Reviews from a regular dude here in my car. If you're already subscribed, thank you very much. If you're not subscribed yet, please think about doing so. Make sure you tap that bell icon so you can be notified every single time I upload a new video. Also, give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you stick around till the end of the video, I have a joke at the end of every single video. Today we're going to check one out from Most Amazing Top 10. This is pure evil churches in Europe that locals are afraid to enter. So let's check this out.
Okay. A lot of confirm whether it's really pretty bad.
This photo was taken inside another church in England, Sefton Church, just outside of Liverpool. Supposedly, what you're looking at is a figure the photographer hadn't seen when he first snapped the picture in 1999. Brad Steiger had been inside the church with only one other person, another photographer standing right next to him. So, who is the mysterious figure in the photo? Many have called it the Sefton Church ghost. Some think it could be the spirit of a former priest who still haunts the place, lingering within its walls. Some locals think this ghost is the same one that haunts the nearby Punch Bowl pub, sometimes referred to as the creepiest 100 yards on Maryside. Ghostly sightings have been reported there for years, and looking at Sefton Church, let's just say I'm not surprised some people think it's haunted. What you're looking at here is a rather notorious photograph taken inside Worstead St. Mary Church in Norfolk, England, 1975. There's something pretty odd about this one, isn't there? Yeah, the ghostly looking thing sitting behind the woman. There's a whole story behind this photo, too. A man named Peter Berthold had been visiting the church with his family, and during their visit, he snapped this photo of his wife Diane, who was sitting on a church bench with her head bowed in prayer. At the time, Peter claimed that there was nobody behind her when he took the shot. Then months later, while showing their photos to friends, someone pointed out the strange figure sitting behind Diane. As they all squinted at the projector, they realized that they were looking at a ghostly white figure, almost resembling a woman wearing a bonnet. According to Diane, when they saw the white figure sitting behind her, they just stood there with their mouths open, intrigued and a bit spooked. Peter and Diane returned to the church to share their discovery with the vicar, and he told them about the legend of the White Lady, a ghost who supposedly appears to those in need of healing. And coincidentally, at the time the photo was taken, Diane was struggling with health issues and was on antibiotics.
Could be some kind of an angel.
Next up, we have the historic St. Botolph Church in London. See if you can spot anything strange in this image. Look closely at the top right-hand corner.
Oh, yeah.
In 1982, a photographer named Chris Brackley was exploring the church with his wife when he snapped a picture inside. At the time, it was just the two of them, so you can imagine their shock when the developed photo revealed a ghostly-looking figure in old-fashioned clothing standing on the balcony near the altar. When Chris examined the negative, experts confirmed there was no double exposure and that his camera was functioning perfectly. So someone must have been there at the moment the picture was taken, right?
Either
but
that,
Chris was positive he and his wife had been the only ones there. Well, a few years later, a builder working on restoration in St. Botolph's crypt reached out to Chris. While tearing down a wall, he'd accidentally disturbed a pile of old coffins, and to his surprise, one of them opened up to reveal a well-preserved body. What really got everyone's attention was the fact that the face of the body looked eerily similar to the ghostly figure in Chris's photograph. Notice anything strange about this photo? how about now? There it is. This photo was taken in 2015 by the then 29-year-old Carrie Launders, who, you guessed it, didn't notice the figure until reviewing the image later. But a little history about this very, very old church. Norwich Cathedral started construction in 1094 after the Norman invasion. With a place that old, it's really no surprise that it has a long history of rumored hauntings. One of the most famous ghost stories is the priest's ghost at the Erpingham Gate, one of the entrances to the cathedral. The first sighting of this supposed ghost was in 1736. The entity is believed to be that of Reverend Thomas Tunstall, a Catholic priest who was martyred at the cathedral. Tunstall went out in one of the most gruesome ways possible. He was drawn and quartered, and his remains were displayed around Norwich as a grim warning. So then we have the photo taken in 2015. Many who look at this image believe it could be the apparition of one of the bishops buried beneath the cathedral floors.
That one's good.
This is St. George's Church in Likova, a small town in the Czech Republic. For nearly 50 years, this church sat abandoned after a tragic incident in 1968 during a funeral service. Just as the ceremony was underway, the ceiling and part of the roof collapsed, sending everyone scrambling outside in fear. And after that, locals took it as a bit of a bad omen and avoided the church entirely, leaving it to slowly crumble while they held services outdoors. The church didn't just fall into disrepair, it was also stripped of its valuables. During the communist regime, looters took away paintings, statues, the church bell, and even the clock tower, leaving behind a damaged organ and an empty shell of what it once was. Then in 2014, a professor from the University of West Bohemia gave his art students an interesting assignment. They were to find a suitable but dilapidated church for an art installation. One student, Jacob Hadrava, immediately thought of St. George's. Hadrava created over a dozen life-sized ghostly figures dressed in robes, placing them in the church's pews, transforming the abandoned church into a site that now attracts visitors from around the world.
Made it a tourist attraction.
One of Ireland's most haunted castles is Leap Castle, and one of the most haunted parts of the ruins is said to be the chapel. Built around 1250, it was the stronghold of the O'Carroll clan, but the castle is infamous for a horrific event that took place in 1532 in the chapel during a mass. One-eyed T. Joe Carroll stormed in, chanting holy rites, and fatally struck his older brother, Father Thaddeus, with a sword. Thaddeus collapsed onto the altar, where he let out his final breath. And it's said that the ghost of the priest still haunts the chapel to this day. Witnesses have reported seeing the chapel's windows light up late at night, even since the castles lay in ruins. In 1922, while workers were restoring the castle, they came across a dungeon hidden behind a wall in the chapel. Inside, they found a gruesome collection of human skeletons impaled on wooden spikes. This was where the prisoners would have been left to die.
Man, they think people are so violent now.
Involved the McMahon clan,
so
mercenaries hired by the O'Carrolls. After a feast celebrating a victory, the O'Carrolls poisoned the McMahon men to avoid paying them, and their spirits are said to wander the castle too, still seeking revenge. The castle eventually passed on to the Darby family in the 1600s. Mildred Darby dabbled in the occult in the early 1900s, and it's said that she accidentally unleashed a spirit described as thin, gaunt, shadowy, with a horrible smell. St. Mary's Church in Ackenham, Suffolk, is a historic Anglican church with roots dating back to the late 13th century. The building features a tower from the 14th century and a south chapel added in the 16th century. Over the years, it's gone through a number of restorations, including a big one in the mid-19th century. During World War II, it suffered damage from a German bomb, but was restored in the 60s with help from the Friends of Friendless Churches, bringing it back to its former glory. From the outside, St. Mary's looks like a typical rural parish church, complete with its medieval architecture and picturesque setting, but it's said that beneath the quaint exterior lies something darker. According to folklore, it's the devil himself that's said to sleep beneath the church, resting under a broken tombstone known as the Devil's Grave. It's also said that if you walk around the church counterclockwise 13 times, you could awaken the slumbering devil.
You'd think the devil would avoid a church.
St. Bartholomew the Great Church, often just called St. Bart's, is a historic church in West Smithfield, London. With its its construction beginning way back in 1120. A monk named Rahiri secured the land and funds from King Henry I to build the place, and over the centuries, St. Bart's has witnessed a lot of dark history, including numerous killings and executions right on its grounds. Today, St. Bart's is not just a beautiful place of worship, and it really is. I mean, look at these images. It's just incredible. This is the church I'd want to go to. Just medieval looking and just filled with detail. Awesome. It's also a hotspot for ghostly activity though, and it certainly looks like it. Among the many spirits said to haunt the church, you might encounter the Duke of Argyll, the painter William Hogarth, and even a mysterious priest. Visitors have reported seeing a strange white mist that forms in the center aisle, sometimes taking the shape of a woman. There's also a darker black mist believed to represent the residual negative energy from the violence that has occurred there over the centuries. One of the most famous apparitions is said to be Rahiri himself. Legend has it that his ghost wanders the church searching for his missing foot, which was supposedly stolen from his crypt long after he passed away. If you happen to be in the church on July 1st at 7 a.m., you might just catch a glimpse of him, appearing as he does on that day every year. This image here was captured in St. Nicholas Church in Pluckley. Pluckley, a small town in Kent, is known as one of Britain's most haunted towns, so it makes sense that its church is also said to be haunted. The town itself is said to be haunted by 12 different spirits. One of the most famous is the spectral coach and horses that are said to ride through the area. Another well-known apparition is the Red Lady, who haunts the churchyard of St. Nicholas Church. This church dates back to the 13th century and features the Daring family chapel, and the Red Lady, believed to be a member of the Daring family, is often spotted wandering the grounds. You also have a ghost named the White Lady, also a member of the family. She died young and was buried in a beautiful white gown, and on misty nights she can be seen floating around the grounds or kneeling in the chapel. Aside from the church,
that
though,
would be
another
creepy
one of
to
the
see.
village's most haunted spots is
Although
the
I don't
Screaming
think it's
Wood, where
anything
locals say
evil,
you can
it
hear
would be
eerie,
creepy still.
blood-curdling screams echoing from deep within the forest. Newby Church in North Yorkshire has become pretty famous for this photo right here. It's become known as the Spectre of Newby Church or the Newby Monk. The photograph was taken in 1963 at the Church of Christ the Consoler on the grounds of Newby Hall. The photo was snapped by Reverend Kenneth F. Lord during a visit to the church. In the image, the spectral figure appears to resemble someone draped in a dark shroud and a white face covering. Some think this could be the spirit of a monk, with the face covering having been used to mask leprosy or some other
it almost
disfigurement.
looks
When the photo first came out,
fake,
people
like
were
the old
also
ghost.
quick to point out how tall this figure looked. But skeptics pointed out that the
Like the white
figure's feet
sheet
aren't
over
showing, so
someone's
it could
head.
just be standing on a box or something to create that illusion of height. Apparently, photographic experts who've analyzed the image have also said that it doesn't appear to be the result of double exposure. So, who knows? With all that said, though, I've been your host, James, and I'll
Well, I find that stuff really, really interesting. Let me know what you think about it. It doesn't surprise me at all that an old church like that would have some energy left behind, whether it's good energy or bad energy. I would tend to lean more toward the good energy since it's a church. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now it's time for a joke. I woke up this morning with stir fry in my bed. I gotta stop sleepwalking.